Hey folks, this is Yuri Karasawa with Japan Ball. Today is May 5th. It is a Monday, which is usually an off day for Nippon professional baseball teams, but because it's Golden Week, they're actually playing later today when I'm recording this. However, since we are over a month into the 2025 season now, I thought I would briefly talk about each of the 12 NPB teams and give my thoughts. So, beginning with the Orix Buffaloes, best record in NPB at the moment, 593 winning percentage. They have cooled down a little bit since that super hot start, but still, you see the 139 OPS plus, which is number one in NPB by a pretty big margin. That's 39% above average. And this is for a team that was below average last year, and they're missing their superstar catcher, Tomoya Mori, who will be back, but the fact that, guys like Ryo Ota, Roma Nishikawa, Yutaro Sugimoto, Yuma Tongu, they have all stepped up in a big way. They have a ton of depth, and they've obviously kind of cracked the code here within the dead ball NPB. They are finding ways to put runs on the board more effectively than any other team. Pretty dynamic as well. 25 home runs, which is second in the league, and then 15 stolen bases, which is middle of the pack. Not bad at all. The pitching, which is typically their biggest strength, right now only a 95 ERA plus, which is towards the bottom of the league. I will mention that is a little bit deflated because they just gave up 14 runs yesterday. But if you go by FIP minus, kind of the under the hood numbers, you do see that they're still in the top 5. So very good there. K minus BB percentage is also pretty much middle of the pack. Hiroya Miyagi and Arin Curry are doing a really nice job in the rotation. Bullpen is still strong, and Shunpeita Yamashita will eventually be coming back as well, forming that, ridiculously good 1-2 punch with Hiroya Miyagi. So I think Orix should feel very, very confident here as we approach Interleague towards the end of the month. Now, the team that is currently leading the Central League, that would be the Yomiuri Giants. 17 wins, leads NPB right now. And they're pretty similar to Orix in terms of being kind of offense-driven so far, a 113 OPS plus. They have 21 home runs. A lot of that is via Kazuma Okamoto, who's the best hitter in NPB right now, so they kind of have a cheat code there. But, other guys like Trey Cabbage, Naoki Yoshikawa, Takuya Kai, they're all doing a very good job, and they're missing Yoshihiro Maru, the star outfielder. So, honestly, doing a really fine job so far, and it might even get better over time. And then the pitching, 105 ERA plus, all things considered, with no more Tomoyuki Sugano, who's off in Baltimore. Shosei Togo's been on the farm for a lot of this year because he's been struggling so much. And Foster Griffin, kind of their number 2, just came back this weekend. He's been battling some injuries. So considering that they've been without their top 3 starters from 2024 for the majority of this season so far, they're hanging in there really nicely. Iori Yamasaki yet to give up a run through the first month and some of the season. 35 consecutive scoreless innings to open the year as a new NPB record. Haruto Inoue, the young southpaw, had a 14 strikeout game a few weeks ago. Yuji Akahoshi also doing a good job as well. And then the bullpen, the two-headed monster there of Raido Martinez and Taisei. They have some other, very capable arms as well, but really headlined by Raido Martinez and Taisei, arguably, the 2 most dominant relievers in NPB over the past 3-4 years are now in the same pen. Their underlying numbers also very solid, 91 FIP minus and a 13.9 K minus BB percentage. Those are both top 3. Defensively, they're actually pretty bad, negative 7.5 TZR. But I think that will probably improve over time because they're fairly sound where it matters. Good catcher, good second baseman. Shortstop, with Makoto Kadawaki is usually elite, but Kadawaki's so, subpar with the bat that they've started to use Yuta Izuguchi. And he's not quite as good defensively, but I still think he's above average. Outfield can be shaky, but yeah, I think they're a little bit better than the number indicates. Next, the Nippon-Ham Fighters. They are 16-13. They started a little bit stronger than this, so they've kind of cooled off, but 30 home runs leads NPB by a pretty big margin. I mean, they do have a lot of boppers there with, Chusei Manami, Franmil Reyes, Kotaro Kiyomiya, even guys that are yet to make an impact this year, like Shun Mizutani. They have plenty of 20-plus home run threats. And they kind of play the most modern, I would say, out of any NPB team in terms of the 3 true outcomes. They don't bunt at all. Not really doing much in the way of speed this year, but a 103 OPS plus. I just think that they are among the most dangerous offenses because even when they're cold and they're not putting many runs on the board, they always have that ability to, run into one, put the ball over the fence and just kind of beat you like 2-1 or something like that. The ERA plus, they're at 112, puts them in the top 3. The FIP minus doesn't really back it up. They're in the bottom half there, and K minus BB percentage is around league average, so probably overperforming a little bit, but Hiromi Ito is pitching like a superstar. I mean, the ERA is a little bit higher than it probably deserves to be because he got roughed up in his first start of the year, but ever since then, I mean, he has been a strikeout machine. And then a couple of the other guys in there, like Takayuki Kato and Shoma Kanemura, are getting the job done as well. They're also good defensively. But I still think the Fighters have another gear to get into. They haven't really reached their peak offensive level because I really think that this should be an offense-driven team. I wouldn't be surprised if they finish as a top 3 offense. So even if the ERA comes down a little bit, I am expecting guys like Manami and Mizutani and Kiyomiya to step it up. And you're going to see them continue to run away in terms of leading the league in home runs. Hanshin Tigers, just behind Yomiuri, in terms of the Central League. They are the best run differential team in NPB as well. They're at plus 20. They're running a lot, 26 stolen bases. Takumu Nakano, Koji Chikamoto at the top of the lineup as the table setters are a big part of that. But much like the Giants, they kind of have a cheat code in the offense in the form of Teraraki Sato, who has 10 of their 17 home runs. Shota Morishita probably has the other half of them. So, they really do rely on just a couple of guys to provide a lot of the pop, but they're also among the most stable teams in NPB. They don't need a ton of depth because they always seem to stay healthy and they just can kind of throw out the same lineup every single day. They have always the same 1 through 7 at least in the starting lineup. And then they kind of switch up catcher every now and then, and that's about it. And shortstop as well, that's about it. So I guess the same 1 through 6. But Hanshin, they are a mostly pitching-driven team, so the fact that their offense is clicking so far this year is a really good sign. They should be competing for the pennant all year long. And then, Shoki Murakami, Hiroto Saiki is a beautiful 1-2 punch there in the rotation. Guys like Haruto Takahashi have yet to even throw an inning, so it could get even better. And the bullpen is absolutely lights out as well. You see they actually do lead in terms of FIP minus, and they're right up there in terms of K minus BB percentage as well. Hanshin are definitely closer to where they were 2 years ago, I think, when they won the Japan series than last year, when they were still good, but just not quite as good. I do think the Giants and Hanshin are going to be competing for the pennant until the very last day of the season this year. Seibu Lions, actually, surprisingly, having a 2 games over 500 record here. They've only hit 10 home runs, so, not much in the way of pop. Old man Takeya Nakamura providing a little bit of that, Shuta Tonosaki as well. But otherwise, it is kind of just a collective effort. They have a lot of contact hitters, not really striking out a lot. Rookie Seiya Watanabe, who isn't currently a qualified hitter because he got hurt, but, hitting over 400, which is insane for a rookie. No home runs, so, I do think that he's kind of overperforming a little bit, but still, he's provided a huge spark in that lineup. And then this is just a really good defensive team. 12.9 TZR leads all of NPB. Sosuke Genda, obviously, there at shortstop, but also Manayan Nishikawa in center field, who's also taken a step forward offensively. This is another team that runs a lot, 25 stolen bases. OPS plus is below average. I do think that it can get better, though, because, their big free agent acquisition of Leandro Cedeno hasn't done anything yet. He's been ice cold, got sent down to the farm. I think once he starts to get activated, and, Tyler Nevin's been all right as well. They've gotten zero production out of second base, for guys like Natsuo Takizawa as well. So once those guys start to deliver a little bit more than they're giving now, this could probably be close to a league average offense. And then with this pitching, maybe they are a playoff team. The underlying numbers in terms of FIP and K-BB percent are not great. But a lot of that, I think, is because of the bullpen not being so good. Other than Kaima Taira in the 9th and Trey Wingenter in the 8th, they're pretty rough there. But the starting rotation with Chihiro Sumida and Tatsuya Imai as the 1-2 punch, that is elite. And they'll be getting Natsuki Takeuchi, the reigning Rookie of the Year, back pretty soon as well. So I think the rotation is very good, albeit a bit top-heavy. And it's good to see them kind of rebound after having a historically bad season in 2024. Hiroshima hanging in there at 500. At one point, they were leading the Central League pennant, but they had a bit of a losing streak. Still a good run differential, though. Obviously, not much in the way of power. This is not a power-driven team at all. Although Shogo Sakakura, their catcher, just came back, and he's probably the most talented hitter in that lineup. So I would expect them to get a little bit better there as time goes on. But yeah, 93 OPS plus. This is around where I really think they're going to end up finishing. They just don't have enough, in my opinion, in the way of firepower. Guys like Sandro Fabian, Kaito Kozono, huge credit to them for punching above their weight so far, but I'm just not that confident that they can keep it up. Shota Suikane, though, I will say, has taken a big step forward, and he is a guy that I believe in. I think he could be a 20 home run hitter, so they can be solid there. And really, despite the below average offense, that's okay as long as they keep having the best, ERA in NPB. They're a 1.22 ERA plus. The FIP minus putting them there at second, 84, and then the K-BB percentage is a little bit lower. They're in 5th, but that's because they don't really kind of, pitch in terms of just like sheer dominance, like getting strikeouts. A lot of their starters, Daichi Osera, Hiroki Tokoda, these are pitch to contact guys, and they just let their excellent defense and positioning kind of do the work. Which I do think is a skill in and of itself, even though it's maybe not that sustainable over time. But, Masato Morishita is looking like an ace again. Shogo Tamamura is good as well. The back of the rotation gets a little bit shaky, but then again, the bullpen's really solid. So I think that kind of makes up for it with guys like Roji Kuribayashi, Taylor Hearn, and Atsuya Horie. Those guys can get strikeouts. So Hiroshima, I think, are just really kind of well-managed and fundamentally sound team. That's kind of what they've always been. So they should be able to hover around 500, even if the talent on the roster isn't quite up to snuff. Rakuten started the year as one of the worst teams, but then they had a pretty nice winning streak. So they're pretty close to 500 again, despite the negative run differential. The offense is really good right now. It's a 111 OPS plus. That is a little bit inflated by the fact that they put up 14 runs on Orix yesterday, but they're also stealing a lot of bases. Top of the lineup, honestly, a lot of speed there with Rui Munayama, the rookie, Yuya Ogo, Hiroto Kobukata, Ryosuke Tatsumi, who is, not playing right now, but, when he's right, he's quite good. And then Hideto Asamura is bringing the powers. Toshigi Abe also kind of the hometown hero doing good as well. So, Rakuten's offense, I've always kind of thought it was underrated. They are very disciplined as well. They take a lot of pitches. They draw a lot of walks. So a very feisty offense, and one that I do believe is talented enough to keep them competitive. The main issue is that their pitching is atrocious, and that is not I don't say that lightly. It is really a bad pitching staff. An 81 ERA plus. They were the worst last year as well. A 125 FIP minus, when the next worst team is 112. K-BB percentage 8.5%. It's a bad rotation. It's a bad bullpen. Really not much positive other than Takahisa Hayakawa, who I think is, fantastic, top 10 caliber starter in NPB. And then, I like Shoma Fujihira out of the bullpen, but that's kind of it. Defensively, though, this year they've been good, which is, great because last year they were quite bad. But I do think just getting Rimunayama to slot in every day at shortstop has helped them immensely because it's allowed them to kind of, move other guys around to just, like Itsuki Murabayashi, for instance, to positions that they are much more comfortable in, and their outfield is also quite good defensively now. So Rakuten, do I think that a team that has, this much lack of pitching depth, can they stick around? Probably not, but as long as they're not like completely, becoming bottom feeders, I think this is a, decent success of a season for them. Chunichi Dragons, kind of a similar story, only one game below 500 despite the, pretty poor run differential. Not really hitting much right now. It's only an 88 OPS plus, but I will say, Hiroki Fukunaga, the second baseman, or the third baseman, I guess, they're moving him to third base this year, as well as Kaito Muramatsu, the shortstop. They've been out, so they haven't really had their best team out there. I also think the manager, Kazuki Inoue, does kind of hurt this team. I mean, I thought he would do a better job taking over for Kazuyoshi Tatsunami, who was very unpopular. Last place finish 3 years in a row for this team, but he hasn't really done much, I don't think, different. I think it's a lot of the same old. I think he and a lot of the infrastructure around this team is just not built for winning, unfortunately. And yet they're hanging in there. They're kind of 500. So I think they're doing a decent enough job. The ERA plus is below average right now. Hiroto Takahashi, the ERA title winner last year, has been really struggling. But they've had some other guys like Yuya Yanagi rebound. Takahiro Matsuba's been great. Yudai Ono even, kind of these throwback guys who were good 5 years ago or so are honestly kind of holding down the fort. Yumeto Kanemaru, the top prospect, will be making his debut later today. Kodai Umetsu I really like as well. He's been injured. He should be back soon. So the pitching should get better. It's been bad so far, but I think the hitting and the pitching should both get marginally better. So this is maybe kind of a 500-ish team. DeNA BayStars, they've been very disappointing, although they've started to win a little bit more lately. Injuries have definitely hurt the offense. I mean, this team on paper coming into the year, you think that this is, by far the best offense in the CL, apart from maybe Yomiuri. Like last year, they had that, Cinderella run in the Japan series. They go all the way. In large part because of the hitting. I mean, they just kind of overpowered everyone with, Tyler Austin, Shugo Maki, Toshiro Miyazaki. It's a really deep lineup, but Austin, unfortunately is always hurt. He will be returning today, but he's been out for most of the year. Toshiro Miyazaki's been banged up, and defensively, they're not good. One of the worst defenses in the league because guys like Shugo Maki, Miyazaki, Keita Sano, those guys should all probably be playing first base or DH, but they obviously can't do that. So they do kind of punt on defense in exchange for having this, elite stacked offense, but they're not getting the hitting right now. So that's definitely going to have to change if they want to turn the season around. But I will say the pitching has kind of stepped up big time in its place. So, Trevor Bauer, Andre Jackson, Anthony Kay, Katsuki Ozuma, that's 4 solid starters they have there. And then even though they don't have too much depth beyond that, I think they're doing a good enough job to where, they're keeping their team in the game. And I think you look at the underlying numbers, the K-BB percentage is actually number 1 in NPB right now. So the pitching is better than we thought. And the offense, I just don't think this is going to be an 83 OPS plus team the entire year. I'd be shocked if they don't at least finish league average, but honestly, they should be above average when, Maki, Austin, Miyazaki, Ryuki Watarai, all those guys, if they're at 100%, Masayuki Kuwahara, throw him in there as well. This definitely should be a good offense. So the BayStars, off to a bad start, but I wouldn't be too concerned. I mean, they were off to a slow start last year as well, and then they, end up making the playoffs and winning the Japan series. SoftBank Hawks, now this team has been concerning because they had the best record in NPB last year, one of the best records in franchise history. They won over 90 games. But so far this year, they're only 12-16. But I will say a large part of that is because of injury. And I think a team like SoftBank that has so much depth, we didn't think that the injuries could possibly hurt them this much. But it's pretty uncommon for like all of your star players to go down at once, and that's basically what happened to them. Roya Kurihara went down in spring training, and then Kensuke Kondo goes down in the first week of the season, and then Yuki Yanagita goes down in the second week of the season. Others like Ukyo Shuto and Kenta Imamiya, I mean, they have 5 big injuries right now, and I think I saw somewhere that 8 of their 9 opening day starters are no longer on the active roster right now, so they have really been stretched thin. The pitching also is not doing a good job. It is significantly worse than it was last year, although I think it's starting to get slightly better. I mean, they started off really rough. But I will say with SoftBank, again, I think that their superstars are so good in the form of Kondo being an MVP player, Yanagita's a future Hall of Famer, Kurihara, who's back now, is also probably the best third baseman in the league. Hotaka Yamakawa hasn't been really good at all this year, but he provides some pop. And yeah, others like Shuto and Imamiya are good on both sides of the ball. So second half of the season, this team should still be like among the best in the league. So all they really need to do is stay close to 500, and then they should be able to have a second half surge. But obviously, if they fall too far behind, it's not going to be too pretty. And yeah, I mean, early in the season, this team has really not looked good. Can't, deny that. Lotte Marines, another team that just has not looked good so far this year. 11-16, negative 16 run differential. Offense is just completely gone. Apart from Hiromi Oka and Neftali Soto being good from time to time, Gregory Polanco, you can throw him in as well. Nobody else is really getting the job done, and this is a team that is kind of more of a collective effort. You can't just rely on one or two guys. You need everyone to at least be pulling their weight, and again, they're not really doing that right now because they have a 78 OPS plus, which is tied for the worst in NPB. Pitching has honestly been fine. They're about league average in both ERA and FIP. K-minus BB percentage, though, is second in NPB. So, again, it should get better. Roki Sasaki and Atsuki Tanaichi, kind of their 1-2 punch for the last couple of years. They don't really have them right now in the sense that Roki Sasaki is obviously gone. He's in LA, but Atsuki Tanaichi is looking like a shell of himself. Really struggling right now. I do expect him to figure it out eventually, but and then Kazuya Ojima hasn't been good either. So the rotation has been stretched pretty thin, but Austin Voth is doing solid. Yuji Nishino is always kind of giving you innings, and then Haruya Tanaka, the top prospect, looks elite. I mean, he's looking like the new ace of this team. So Lotte, I think, are going to be pretty hard-pressed to make the playoffs this year. This is looking more like a 5th or a 6th place team, kind of the bad end of the outcome for them, because this is always a team that I think is kind of middle of the pack, but when a few things go wrong, and they do have injuries as well, I think they can really kind of spiral. So not a good start, but, this team can be quite streaky. That's what they're kind of known for. So we might see them have a winning streak and get back close to 500. And then finishing off with the Yakult Swallows, I don't have much good to say about this team, unfortunately. They're 10-15, which is the worst record in NPB, but honestly, they kind of have played even worse than that. A negative 36 run differential. They're last in home runs and stolen bases, so, not facilitating runs really in any way. Tied for last in OPS plus, second to last in ERA plus. The FIP is actually okay, but the defense is so bad, negative 16.2 TZR, that it doesn't really matter. And that's all with, their big injuries to Munetaka Murakami and Yasutaka Shiomi. Yes, that is a huge loss to not have those two superstars, but they should be playing better overall, and they're just not. Domingo Santana is obviously a big minus defensively, but he can still hit. Egoro Mogi stepping in for Murakami, who's only played one game this year. He's been excellent defensively. So honestly, the defensive metrics could be even worse if they had Murakami right now. But this just goes to show you how bad this team can be without Murakami in the lineup. I mean, this team really lives and dies with Munetaka Murakami anchoring the cleanup spot, because, without, Santana and Murakami, Hideki Nagaoka, Jose Osuna there to provide a lot of the thump, this team just doesn't have much going for it. The bullpen has made some improvements this year. Kota Shoji, the rookie, has looked absolutely lights out. And some other guys in the bullpen have stepped up big, but the rotation is still a little bit shallow. Although I will say Yasunobu Okugawa, despite the bad ERA, is showing some good signs. I like the stuff this year a lot more than what we saw at the end of last year. So, once rookie Yuto Nakamura gets called up, there's some positives in the pitching. I think this is going to be a fun pitching staff to watch, but it's really kind of unfortunate because I think the Swallows have always been a team that are among the most entertaining in NPB, even when they're bad, because they can always kind of put runs on the board in Jingu Stadium, so hitter friendly, and they play kind of exciting back and forth games. But right now, just really kind of uninspiring baseball. This is looking a lot like it has to be a transition year, a development year for them. They're just not really close to competing, which is really unfortunate given that it's Murakami's final year in Japan. But yeah, that just about does it. Let me know what you think about your favorite team in NPB so far. Again, I don't, watch every single inning of every team, obviously, so there are some nuances that I'm missing, but, I think there's a lot we can learn from just kind of these kind of summary kind of stats like this as well. So thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe for more NPB content in English.